problem with putting speed bumps within the township limits. So it really comes down to whether or not the township wants to add those bumps.
I'm certainly not gonna have them prior to the.
Right.
And traditionally, we have not put speed bumps on anything. What we have found, first of all, your particular instance, there wasn't a stop sign behind the school, so at that location, right? And there haven't been any accidents. I went back, there haven't been any accidents there.
Right.
So, and the only reason we got justification for the stop sign in was for the school. So to slow when you put speed bumps in, there's additional liability incurred by the township. If somebody should get hurt while they're off because of it. In addition, it really doesn't stay. It's like a stop sign. When you hit a stop sign, if you're in a hurry, then you go faster the next leg to make up for the lost time.
I was proposing this as a test to see if it would in fact slow people down or actually help people obey that stop sign. Okay, I'm not asking for speed bumps willy-nilly throughout the township, or in this case, specifically the Meadows. My proposal is 2, right where the stop line should be, which is still not there. And I would like to be part of the solution. And I'm willing to pay half of the cost of the 2 temporary speed bumps, which I referenced in my email to you.
Right.
And I would even go further and say to limit the need for manpower. I would store them in my garage over the winter and then install them in the spring.
Well, I'm not gonna put them out now, right? You agree with that? Come back and talk to me in the spring. Okay.
Thank you. Robert, thank you for your commentary. Anyone else have any other public comments? Okay, and then I'll make sure that we can see. So here, let me refresh. And Ed Mullen, Attorney Ed Mullen has come onto the Zoom as well. And so we have 0 public comments via our internet website. Okay, great. Then we have a presentation from Pat with Studio GC.
Thanks again for having me back. I just want to give you a quick update. We had a meeting last week to review and just confirm the program, meaning the number of spaces, the dedicated offices, etc. We're currently working on some refinements to the plan itself. The elevations haven't changed, so tying it back to landmarks or essentially survey data points to get the footprints essentially tied to the ground, which is going to be constructed. So we hope to have the plan revision done within a week. And so for your next meeting, we'll be able to show some plan modifications. Perhaps continue to look at other opportunities within the structure itself to save cost and reduce costs overall. So that's really my update.
Thank you, Pat.
Any questions?
I have a couple of questions. I know that the square footage has been reduced over the last couple of months, no?
Just one reduction revision, and it was more so because of the constraints within the property that we're constructing. We kind of had to shrink it a little bit to get within the setbacks.
And what is the total square footage of the proposed structure?
We're at about 7,000 square feet at total first and second floor.
Well, I want to tell you that I'm excited to see the revision of the things that we've discussed. Taking what you initially planned for the department.
Great. Happy to hear that.
Is this on the, in the packet? Because I didn't see it.
Yeah.
When, okay, then it just needs to come. Okay. I do have a question because it's it's about the food pantry. The food pantry is on the lower level, right? And we have the ramp that I know was suggested. I know we're also getting the truck, right? That is dock, well, I don't know if you know, but we're getting a truck, right? That's dock loading. How, and we want to expand the food pantry for more and more to help more people. How are we getting food down there? You know, all this food is coming through the ramp. Shouldn't it be like dock level to
So,
make it easier for everybody?
so the dock level height truck is primarily for the ability to go to a dock level distributor, like in Amazon or what Jewel, for example, that they have those docks that require that type of level. We, on the other hand, don't require that level. A variety of different things that I know Pat was talking about was perhaps looking at the cost of a variety of different options. So Pat, would you
Sure.
elaborate? on
So the ramp is actually a good option for trolleys, carts, as well as pallet carts. We're also looking at possibility of putting in a freight elevator, a passenger / freight elevator in lieu of the ramp. Concrete costs have risen, so now we're gonna look at the comparative between the cost of an elevator and the cost of concrete.
Okay,
So that is one of the things we are looking at for the plan. We're gonna show it to you both ways. So you'll be able to take a look at these.
great.
But the clients of the food pantry would have to push their carts up and down that,
That is
Right.
true.
right?
That is
I
true.
mean, many of them are older, it's a long way to go.
That's true, but when we had the meeting, the initial meeting, one of the things that I thought was really important, if you were gonna have a community center, you really want the benefit and the aesthetic of it to be when you first walk into a building versus going down. So that was sort of. No, I was just
Concerned about the clients walking down the ramp and back up.
It's I don't know, it's not like a deep ramp, right?
No, it's an ADA plan ramp, so it's a shell. But I do think that one of the things that if we take and shift or shrink that to get stair and elevator, there may be the possibility of having a secondary direct exit out of the lower level in that location. So the grades, we're looking at the grades, so I think we're gonna come up with a solution that may actually satisfy all the concerns.
Thank you, Pat. Any other questions? Thank you for your help.
My pleasure. Enjoy Thursday. It's the last one day of the season.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the approval of the appointment of Lisle Township trustee. Or actually, we have the number 6, I was getting ahead of myself. Update on human resources from Becky Schwer. So here's where we at with human resources. Becky has been focused on recruiting, creating and onboarding standard operating procedures currently for the 6 positions initially looking to hire. Here's where we are. For the executive assistant, we're still searching, and it's currently posted on Indeed and on our website. HR has screened 6 candidates, and we have, and so we're still looking through our candidates for the executive assistant. For youth and family services, currently it's posted on Indeed, it's on our website, and we've screened 5 candidates. HR screened 5, and I've screened 2 of the 5. The 3rd candidate is scheduled for November. For the director of general assistance, we have screened a whole lot of candidates, but there's 5 that went through phone interviews. We've had 4 interviews in person, and there was an offer made on 11/9, and the candidate has verbally signed this offer letter. So we will have her start in a few weeks, which is very exciting. Our part-time receptionist has been filled with Cindy Bocario. Our senior services and transportation position was filled with Gerald Wolf, and we'll be discussing, we'll be hearing from Gerald. And then our operations manager has as well been filled by Lisa Rose. So Lisa, if you wish to speak. She is on the website. Or on the Zoom. Well, she had pre-prepared a statement. I know she's busy working. I just saw you unmuted.
I did unmute. Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm at that. So basically, I really enjoy working and helping out at the township, helping doing things like the newsletter, working with just other projects on the budget and things like that. So I had an opportunity, or I had a change in my work or my employment at the moment. So I decided to put in a application, went through the application and interview process, and I was made an offer. And so I'm very excited to work full-time at the township, helping to basically helping people to live better lives, work on programs and things like that. So I'm very excited to try this new role. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And we have Gerald Wolf.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gerald Wolf, and I come to the township with previous township experience from one of the northwest suburbs, where I was director of transportation. And my background, I don't know if you passed out the little short bio that I wrote just for this meeting, but I do have a broad array of transportation experience, and I'm excited to be here. I saw the posting on Indeed, and I just applied, and everything fell into place for me. And I'm very excited to be here. I'm happy. I've got some big plans, and some of the plans include instituting a transportation program similar to the one that I had in the previous job, and kind of focusing and controlling not only our costs, but our ridership, as well as even having our own vehicle with our township name on it. That's going to eliminate a plethora of things, like the common complaints that we're getting from Ride DuPage or our clients about Ride DuPage. It's going to allow us to be more nimble and more flexible to some of the places that our clients want to go, or they can articulate to us where they would like to go, and then we can kind of adjust on the run and on the fly. And we want to couple that with continuing to expand and grow our senior services. And the way you can do that is you've got to get out, we've got to be seen, we have to be heard, and we have to listen. And that's what right now, that's our initial plans. That's where I just jumped in and started swinging. Even today, based on some previous relationships that I've had with Pace Bus and their van pool division, we were able to take a look at a nice van that we may be able to get our hands on pretty quickly. So I'm excited. We're getting the ball rolling. So Supervisor Hewitt, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I just hope I can deliver, as much as I'd like to.
Thank you, sir.
Are
Welcome
there any
aboard.
questions?
Are you a Northwestern grad?
I am.
Did you play football for Northwestern?
I surely did.
What years did you play for?
1981 through 1985. Dennis Green was my coach. Are you a football fan? You're a Northwestern guy?
No, I'm a Buckeye. Iowa State.
See, if I were you, I wouldn't say that out loud. However, at least you're a Big Ten guy.
Right.
And, they were supposed to beat us by 38 points on Saturday, but they didn't. I'm not a gambler, but I was happy that they did. They couldn't handle our weather in Chicago.
The Windy City, eh?
Yeah, that's been kind of tore them up. So if there are any more questions, I am accessible. I'm here all the time. I try to get in a little bit early so I can have coffee and check out the news and everything. So if anybody has any questions for me, or if you need something from me, I am available. Just reach out, okay? All right, thank you, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Welcome. And we also have hired Cynthia Procario, who's a receptionist for Tuesday, Thursday. And she wrote a little blurb that I'm just gonna speak for her. Hi, I'm Cindy Procario. I'm a 29-year resident of Downers Grove. She has 3 adult children. She's a caterer for a small family-owned business in Downers Grove. She's a library lover, especially being a former employee of Downers Grove Library. She plays a guitar and has practiced yoga for 15 years. She's a people person and loves hearing about you and getting to know you. She's a part-time receptionist for Lisle Township and looking forward to learning more about our services and how to help make it better. She's extremely helpful. Big fan of Cynthia and everybody. So please welcome our new wonderful employees. And next we have a presentation from our our accountant, and I'll just introduce her starting with the search. I interviewed with several local accounting firms from word of mouth and Google over the phone. We were too small for some and had very specialized needs. In person, I interviewed with and received proposals from Juliana Kennedy, Sue Klein, Regina Bush. Some were based on $250 an hour to $160 an hour. They were all wonderful CPAs, but Linda Nader has the background and specific skill set that we need help with here at Lisle Township. She will introduce herself, but she is a CPA and much, much more that can help us unwind some issues, reconciling paycheck issues, and create best practices from an accounting perspective. She has given us a very reasonable proposal.
I'm Linda Nader, and I've been in practice for about 31 years, having my own firm. I'm actually the treasurer on the Lombard Historical Society. I served as treasurer for the Lombard Chamber of Commerce for 8 years. So I've worked a lot with municipalities and not-for-profits and understand their framework and how they need to work. And I'm looking forward to getting in. We've spent a couple days now trying to look at payroll issues and the accounts payable and everything. And we're looking forward to getting best practices in place so that it'll be much easier for the reports to be read and distributed and everything like that. So we're sort of in that mode right now, trying to get everything under control.
Are things up?
Well, it's you know, whenever there's a transition, what ends up happening is not necessarily everybody knows what somebody else was doing before the change. So you try to make sure that nothing is falling through the cracks.
When's the last time the bank accounts were opened?
We're reconciling September right now.
So they were done in August?
Yes, they were.
Who did them? And who reviewed them?
I don't know who did
I
that.
assume Mr. Green did them.
In
Did you
August.
review them?
In August, yes.
Okay, you signed off on them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're just a couple months behind the cash.
Correct.
So that's-
No, not that.
How much you get per hour?
We generally bill at 175 an hour.
Is that what you was?
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. Okey doke. Okay, then next we have the approval of the appointment of a Lisle Township trustee. And we had a lot of interest. I spoke to 9 people. We advertised this in Lisle Township Democratic Organization's newsletter twice. All the PCs in Lisle Township Democratic Organization have been advertised with this. This is actually my specialty, is recruiting candidates and helping develop them. I'm literally the Township Democratic expert on this topic. So we had a wonderful 2 people that ended up submitting applications. The first one realized that she was applying for a position that she didn't realize was the wrong board. And so she's learning more about the township, and she was actually, a common issue here in Lisle is that sometimes people confuse the municipality and the township. And so she thought it was a municipality and not a township. And then we had Heather, and when you see her resume, and you can see it should be passed out as well. And we can also see, let me make sure I'm sharing my screen.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
there.
come up, yeah.
I have a question prior to proceeding for Attorney Mullen. According to statute 60 ILCS 1-60-5 on filling vacancies in township offices, there needs to be approval. It states in the final line. Can you hear me okay? Attorney Mullen?
Yes, yes.
60 ILSC 1-60. Part B says resignations become effective upon acceptance by the township or multi-township board, as the case may be. I don't believe we had an opportunity to accept as a board trustee Rose's resignation. So in order to proceed, don't we first have to accept her resignation as a board?
So in my experience, that has not typically been done with resignations, but can you repeat the citation for me?
You want the statute number and citation?
Yeah, start with, just read the full statute citation.
Part B, resignations become effective upon
Right,
acceptance.
no, the number.
60.
You cited ILCS. I just want to pull that up real quick.
1/60-5.
1/60-5.
And it's section 60 through -5, filling vacancies in township offices. Vacancies in the township offices and the manner of filing them. This is found in the laws and duties of townships handbook. I just want to make sure procedurally this is being approached the correct way.
And just a reminder that trustee Rose sent each of the different trustees a letter that she had resigned. It had been put on the website. So,
On the
Do we
website.
have the website?
well, I'll show you. There. Lisa Rose resigned as trustee.
That's not board.
So it was publicly posted. And Attorney Mullen said that the requirements were to notify each different board members. Attorney Mullen.
Sorry, you just give me a minute.
it.
So, I've been through like 5 or 6 of these resignations and assignments, and the board has never voted to accept the resignation in any of those circumstances. So I believe that's the correct procedure. I just want to make sure that the statute tracks with that. And sorry, the Zoom keeps messing with my trying to read the statute. Okay, so can you read the specific section about the township voting to accept the resignation? Where is that?
I feel like I should probably read all of it.
Okay,
Okay. Once again, 60 IL CS 1-60 or /60-5, section 60-5. Filling vacancies in township offices. A, except for the offices of townships or multi-township assessor, if a township fails to elect the number of township officers that the township is entitled by law, or a person elected to any township office fails to qualify, or a vacancy in any township office occurs for any other reason, including without limitation, the resignation of an officer or the conviction in any court of the state of Illinois or the United States of an officer for an infamous crime, then the township board shall, I don't know if the infamous crime is right. I'll just keep going until you hear what you need to hear. Then the township board shall fill the vacancy by appointment, by warrant under their signatures and seals, and the person so appointed under their signatures and seals, and the person so appointed shall hold their respective offices for the remainder of the unexpired terms. All persons so appointed shall have the same powers and duties and are subject to the same penalties as if they have been elected or appointed for a full term of office. A vacancy in the office of township or multi-township assessor shall be filled only as provided in the property tax code. For purpose of this subsection A conviction of an offense that disqualifies an officer from holding the office occurs on the date of Roman numeral, I think it's supposed to be Roman numeral 1, the entry of the plea of guilt in court, 2, the return of a guilty verdict, or 3, in the case of a trial by the court, the entry of finding guilt. B, if a vacancy of the township board is not filled within 60 days, a special township meeting must be called under section 35-5 to select a replacement under section 35/35. B/5, if the vacancy being filled under subsection A or B is for the township supervisor, a trustee shall be appointed as the deputy supervisor to perform the ministerial functions of that office until the vacancy is filled under the subsections A, or the office until the vacancy is filled under this under the subsections A or B, the deputy supervisor's appointment is terminated. C, except as otherwise provided in this section, whenever any township or multi-township office becomes vacant or temporarily vacant, the township or multi-township board may temporarily appoint a deputy to perform the ministerial functions of the vacant office until the vacancy has been filled in subsection A or B. If the office is temporarily vacant, the temporarily appointed deputy may perform the ministerial functions of the vacant office until the township officer submits a written statement to the appropriate board that he or she will be able to resume his or her duties. The statement shall be sworn to before an officer authorized to administer oaths in the state. A temporary deputy shall not be permitted to vote in any meeting of the township board on any matter properly before the board, unless the appointed deputy is a trustee of the board at the time of the vote. If the appointed deputy is a trustee appointed as a temporary deputy, his or her trustee compensation shall be suspended until he or she concludes his or her appointment as an appointed deputy upon the permanent appointment to fill the vacancy. The compensation of the temporary deputy shall be determined by the appropriate board. The township board shall not appoint a deputy clerk if the township clerk has appointed a deputy clerk under section 75-45. D, except for the temporary appointment of a deputy under subsection C, any person appointed to fill a vacancy under the section shall be a member of the same political party as the person vacating the office. If the person vacating the office was elected as a member of an established political party under section 10-2 of the election code that is still in existence at the time of the appointment. The appointee shall establish his or her political party affiliation by his or her record of voting in party primary elections or by holding or having held an office in a political party organization before appointment. If the appointee has not voted in a party primary election or is not holding or has not held office in a political party organization before the appointment, then the appointee shall establish his or her political party affiliation by his or her record of participating in a political party's nomination or electoral caucus. Source PA 101-104, effective 7/19/2019. Section 60-15, warrant of appointment, when any appointment is made under section 60-5 or 60-10, the officers making the appointment shall cause the warrant of appointment to be promptly filled in the offices of township clerk, who shall immediately give notice to each person appointed. Section 60-20, resignation of officer, which I believe this is most pertinent, but I didn't know if the details preceding would affect what is seen here. A, the township board may, for sufficient cause shown to them, accept the resignation of any officer of their township. Whenever they accept a resignation, the township clerk shall make a minute of the acceptance upon the township records, which has not been done, correct? A resignation of a multi-township assessor, however, shall be made to and may be accepted by the multi-township board, and the clerk of the multi-township board shall make the minute upon the records of the multi-township board and forward a copy of the resignation and minute to the county clerk, the Department of Revenue, each of the township boards in the multi-township jurisdiction, and supervisor of assessments for entry upon their permanent records. Part B, resignations become effective upon acceptance by township or multi-township board, as the case may be.
That was a lot.
It was a lot, and like I said, I think the most important part
It was
was
what?
having the record.
So my question is, what part did we or did we not find?
So our candidate is definitely the correct party. And the part we did not follow, we did not have this in minutes as being accepted by the.
Okay, and on page 18, and this is much shorter in this township officials book. It says whenever the township board accepts the resignation, the township minute of the acceptance upon the township records. Now, does the website count as a township record? Does email correspondence between different township board members count as township records?
You have to have a meeting.
I'm asking the attorney a question.
Okay.
So Attorney Mullen,
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at the annotation of this. Hold on.
and at the bottom, it says resignations become effective upon the acceptance by the township board as the case may be. So if different
did we
board
accept
members
it?
have accepted this resignation from Lisa Rose, I accepted her
But it's
resignation.
not in minutes.
Lisa Rose, did you accept her, or sorry, Jean, did you accept her
How did
resignation?
we accept it?
Because we were emailed.
I got
this
the email.
Does that mean
resignation.
you accepted it?
Is that acceptable?
And
That
so
was how it
it
was-
seems as though if we're asking our
Well, no, I
attorney,
see your
does accepting an email, being given the knowledge that this person has resigned, does that count as
We have to
acceptance?
Okay, so here's my question, Attorney Mullen. Email came, I received the email. Received it. But was I supposed to accept it? Was I supposed to respond and say, I accept your resignation? I don't understand
There's
what
no
you're saying.
indication as such. to
If
do that.
somebody just
Well, then how
watches
would
the
you-
board meeting, how would they ever become aware that Lisa resigned?
Okay, again, I talked to our attorney before Lisa
Just
resigned.
answer my question. I don't care what he said. How would anybody watching the board meetings, reading the minutes, know there was a vacancy?
Well, if somebody was watching the board minutes, then what they could see is that there's changes in the board that in our township that were happening. We put, meaning that we had been advertising for 2 months for positions that we had been looking for.
Suggested board meeting prior. You said you were going to advertise for a trustee vacancy?
No, I have been telling people for some time that there's been an operations manager position that has been published publicly for 2 months. Now, can anyone surmise and look again at our website, at our Facebook pages and what have you not? See that we've been putting out that there's an application. And the good thing is again, if anybody is looking to run for an office in the Democratic Party, I'm literally the person that they would be coming to for any municipal election cycle. For example, right now, there's in 2 weeks until the Lisle and Naperville petitions are due for their candidates. There's a month for the other petitions. Point being is that I'm super aware of the candidates, and we did our due diligence explaining the situation to the general public
You guys are saying the same thing.
intra party.
So what you did.
So, sorry, I just wanted to make sure I took a look into this a little bit further before speaking up, but the acceptance of resignation, I mean, I'm looking at about 4 or 5 cases here where the acceptance of the resignation is not something that requires a vote of the board. It's just an acknowledgement and actions taken indicating that the resignation has been acknowledged. So I don't think, you need to have a vote from the township board that says we accept the resignation. And, like I said, I've been through a number of these in a number of different townships, and that's never been the procedure that has been used.
It's in writing.
Could I ask a question? Because it states that the clerk is
Yeah,
supposed
that you're
to,
supposed to make
for
a
the
minute.
at the minute of acceptance.
Yes.
How do I know the minute of acceptance?
And the clerk of the multi-township board shall make the minutes upon the records of the multi-township board
This is
and
not
forward a
multi-
copy of the resignation and minute to the county clerk. The Department of Revenue. I don't believe any of those things were done.
So this is not
something-
a multi-township board, to be super clear. So Attorney Mullen,
So give me a second. I don't want to just jump to a snap answer. I want to make sure I'm giving you, correct
Yeah, please do.
advice. Okay, so
To acknowledge the resignation. So how do we do that? Do we say?
so this is a Illinois District Court of Appeal case. And this is dealing with a public entity receiving a resignation letter. And it said, in the court's opinion, the resignation letter was effective as of the date that it was written, and that the replacement of the teacher during the school term was tantamount to acceptance of the resignation. So given what that says, then the appointment of the this successor supervisor or trustee would be the equivalent of acceptance.
You threw me at the school board.
Hmm?
You said with the school board? What?
The teacher,
Teacher?
it's not the,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it
I'm
would be
not-
more close if it was a school board member, but not as a teacher.
I'm a teacher and
is
I have been
under-
on school boards, but I feel like this is different. This is a legality that if we skip, there could be consequences.
Right, but the case is, the case law is saying that your acceptance is implied by your appointment of a successor. So if you vote to appoint a successor, that is the equivalent of accepting the resignation.
And you can start the
It
process.
doesn't have to be a two-step process where you vote to accept the resignation and then you vote to
You can start the process
install
of
a new trustee.
before you accept the resignation of the old trustee.
Pardon?
You can you can start the search for a new trustee before accepting the resignation of the old trustee.
According to this appellate court case, yes.
And that's for an elected official. You don't have a concern for transparency here? If a concerned citizen was watching the board of trustee meeting and was actively doing it, how would they ever become aware that there was an opening that they could apply for?
And to further that, if they went on the website, on the front page, it doesn't say anything about it. You'd have to know or just go to the news section to find it. And that's difficult because you're not gonna go there. Besides, Lisa's picture's still on there, you know, and her bio's still on there too. So there's no indication that there's anything, you know, anything open. And just to the transparency part, it's, it just, you know, it just reeks of impropriety. It's not, I get it, you know, it's not to squash anything further, but there's really real concern that if we're not doing this right, anything we do in the future with a new trustee, is that going to be valid?
I don't think you're not doing it right. There is no procedure for official acceptance of the resignation. There's no requirement that the township board vote on that.
But what is my role then? Maybe to read the
How does it get in the
part
minutes?
again? It never goes in the minutes. It would just be the approval of the new. We're not even talking about who it resigned, really. I don't have to do that.
The township board may, for sufficient cause shown to them, accept the resignation of any officer of their township. Whenever they accept a resignation, the township clerk shall make a minute of the acceptance upon the township records.
So I put
that
the
hasn't been done.
minute of the acceptance is the minute that we approve the next person.
It could be, yes.
Did we trustees
Yeah.
drop the ball by not
Well, that's what I'm
contacting
asking.
you?
Were we supposed to do something?
Once
How would I
we
know
trustees received the resignation email, we trustees have contacted either Clerk Polowitz or Supervisor Hewitt.
Well, I was
I think the
unaware we were
challenge
hiring
is-
or.
Well, the challenge
board.
is to, right, I think that's where okay, I see where you guys are coming from. Because we didn't just have someone resign as trustee, they filled a vacancy they became a hired employee, which. That's a whole other thing, so I think that's where it's tricky, so we just need to be completely, make sure we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's, so. What should we have done, or what do we need to do?
So to be super clear, before any of this transpired, Attorney Ed Mullen was asked the proper procedure. Correct, Attorney Mullen?
Yes, and the proper procedure in every case that I've worked on over a number of years has been that they submit the resignation. You vote on a replacement, and that is, you know, that is the process, and it satisfies the code. And you know, to the extent that you are suggesting that you have to have a separate meeting where you vote to accept the resignation before you vote to fill the resignation, I don't think is required by the statute or is the general practice of townships.
What was the date that you were asked the questions, just so that we understand the timeline?
I don't know.
And when did the position get posted? When did the resignation notice, which was really kind of part of a job opening post, what date did that get posted?
What day did you get the email from?
From Lisa? I think we got it on different days, all of those.
No, it was sent
No.
on a Friday. Lisa, do you have the
We did
date
get
that
it.
you?
I got it on the 26th when
I got
and then Lisa, I think, then sent it to us on the 26th,
I got it, on-
because none of us got it.
so you got it 5 days after, got it
Yeah.
on the 21st.
Yeah,
I got it on the 21st.
Lisa Rose, what day did you resign and send the letter to all of the board members?
in the letter, in the
Don't.
cover letter with the resume for the.
On the
application.
21st,
So on November 21st.
no,
She was-
October 21st.
October 21st.
That's the day I got it. checked.
So,
You said you said it was the 20th. In the email, it says the 20th. And then the email is sent out the 21st.
Yeah, that sounds right. I made acceptance, yeah, right. That makes sense.
So the process was, from my understanding, that the board members had to be notified, that the Democratic Party had to be notified, that members of the Democratic Party were notified in a variety of different way, whether it was through 5 different emails in 2 different channels. So people that had been looking for jobs or positions have been contacting me. They contact me literally last 5 years because I run a class
I
on
thought
how to
we-
train candidates.
I thought we only had 2 for this opening.
We did. But I had a
So
number of
if-
other conversations
I know, but I
because
just want to be transparent. So she submitted her resignation the 21st, but said she resigned the 20th. We have a application on October 24th. I'm just. trying
It
to
just feels
understand-
like we're doing township business outside of our meetings. You know,
so
outside of the
I think what we're
transparent-
trying to do is make sure that we answer this question. So
Yes.
and go through this
And we
question.
learned.
So Attorney Ed Mullen, I would.
If you'd vote right now to appoint the new trustee, under Illinois law, that is the equivalent of acceptance of the resignation.
So we have gone through the process of both having, at the time, she sent her her resignation to the board members. We went through the process of making sure that those in the Democratic Party were alerted about the opening in several different methods. And now we've come to a single person that has decided to help serve with us. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I have a question, since we're discussing prior, because I'm super uncomfortable with this, and I know that I'm not the vote on this. But do we have insurance if we're doing something wrong? Do we have like the equal to director's insurance? Because this just does not sound right, and this is seriously nothing against you. I'm sure you're lovely. It's just, I just feel that turn it around. So if it's me resigning, I must do this. If it's me resigning, all then I have to do is tell John, who's the head of the LTRO, that, hey, I'm resigning. He could come with a name right before the next meeting and say, here's Debbie's resignation, here's a person to take Debbie's spot. And then it would
Right.
have. to-
So the reality though is as long as you follow the OMA requirements, that is allowed, right?
Well,
So all of the things that you're talking about are things that are, you can say, this is what we want to do to promote the seat. This is what we want to do to get as many people to apply. But the law does not require that. It simply does not require that. You can do that as a board and make the decision that you think that's the best way to do it, or however you think the best way to do it is. But if you have a majority of people that vote in favor of the new trustee, that is sufficient.
So in the past, it's always been done, and I hear what you're saying, and you've given your opinion, and so we will move forward. But for part more of this conversation is, in the past, it's always been done that we would have an executive, not me, it's not been done with me, but there's been an executive session after the meeting that all the candidates were able to be interviewed by all of the trustees and the board. The questions could be asked because they're being called to vote on someone for the township. And, some have never met the candidates. Some have never been answered
Is there a
questions.
question in there, Clerk Polowitz?
There is, you cannot stop me from talking. So my point with this is that no one's had the opportunity to ask any questions, to do any due diligence for our residents. And how could you expect, here's the question, how could you expect the trustees to vote on someone that they've never met? They've never even been able to Google,
So you don't have all the information, apparently.
Correct, I don't.
Polowitz. So-
I don't have all of it.
All of the trustees have been sent Heather Kazmierik's resume.
At 8
Her-
PM last night. I
Okay,
have a full-time job, and a family, and there's not enough time to make a conscious decision and know that we're doing the right thing. I was appointed to the village board. This was not the procedure that I went through. There was a closed session meeting where the resignation was accepted, and then a variety of resumes were presented. Then there were meetings. I met with many a trustee, and then it was voted upon. I'm not saying we have to be that extensive, but less than 24 hours, in my opinion, is not sufficient time
I think Heather is
to
qualified.
review the procedure.
I think Heather's qualified. I think what I hear you saying is we all worked really hard to win our spots, right? And then there was just no conversation, and I think fairness, even if it's, I mean, I guess it's not written in the law, right, Attorney Mullen, that we have the action of having conversation. I don't know. I wonder if it's something that has to happen so fast. The timeline of this is fast. Lisa resigned on the 21st. This application came in, it was a Friday, and this application came in Monday. Did we give our community enough time to submit applications? I'm just asking. Were we fair? Because not everybody's on the LTDO mailing. Maybe they're not on the, I'm just asking.
No,
a question.
and
I'm
I
not.
really understand,
We
and
see that
so,
she's qualified. I'm just asking, did we give the community that elected us into these positions, that entrusted us into these positions? Now we're going to just sign off, and we don't know what all of our options were because it was so fast.
so here's the good thing, is that literally every day for years, I've been recruiting candidates and people that
that's
want to serve. I know, and it's
That's-
wonderful that I'm the chair of
I'm
the
just being fair.
Democratic Party of Lisle Township.
Somebody sent me a message saying, I'm interested in applying, but they didn't learn about it until the night before, and they didn't get everything together in time. All I'm saying is, I'm asking a question, I'm not being contrary. Did we give the community enough time? In the question, there's no reason for anyone to feel offended.
So the really great
Everybody
thing,
who watches the meetings regularly knows that they can see this.
so again, the really great thing is that we have an ongoing list in Lisle Township of people that could be interested in any position.
But they may
And
not
so
be-
the really great
We don't even
thing,
know there's a list of people
Well, you
who would be
think it's
interested.
not the Democratic Party, but what if there's people who just aren't on the list because they've never contacted Diane Hewitt? I mean. there are
totally
gonna be
understandable, but
people-
here's the really great thing is that we literally put it on the doorsteps of every Democrat for years. Literally, it was printed
It
out.
was an open spot.
Yes, they
These
actually,
people elected us and they entrusted us to do a job. Lisa made the choice to leave the job that she was entrusted with to fulfill a vacancy, happened part by someone who left. And then I feel like maybe we moved, I didn't think about it till now, but maybe we did move fast. Maybe we needed to give it a little more time. I'm not saying that, there has to be a whole lengthy approval process, but maybe we didn't give it enough time. Maybe we put the vacancy is out now. Now we've made it very public. It's not just to a list. It's very public. And maybe we give people till the next meeting to apply with it. I see, it's a short window. I don't know, trustees.
When is the next meeting? It's within the 60-day window, correct? So could I suggest that we have, we could have either a vote or not a vote at the next one to accept the resignation. And then we go into executive session, have interviews or interview, and then come out of executive session and vote.
Trustee Page.
so trustee Page, would you like to make any motions or would you
Would you
like
have
to
any
have any
thoughts?
opinions or any?
Not that there's
thoughts?
any pressure on me,
Right.
right? Okay.
Well, I just feel like I didn't think about these things until today, so.
I understand what everybody is saying. But I'm going with the attorney's recommendation. The attorney went to law school. The attorney knows the law. If we are following the law according to what he says, I don't see that we're doing anything wrong. Now, that being said, this is the very first board I've ever served on. I have no idea how things are run. So I would go with the recommendation of the attorney. At the same time, I want us to be a cohesive board. I want us to keep propelling this township forward. Like we have been with somebody strong. So, and I don't want to sit with the vacancy for a long time either. So
Exactly.
I want to do what is most expedient, if that's the right word.
I still have concerns about the legalities and I would love an opportunity to talk to another lawyer too, to make sure we have it documented correctly. What if we're passing budgets and we can't pass them because that trustee is not a valid member of the board? There's a lot
Okay,
of
so
things that
here's
could be
what
wrong.
motion, if anybody would like to suggest, we were planning to call a special meeting in 2 weeks on November 20.
Oh, I forgot the date.
On November 28th. We're planning to call a special meeting.
It's a Monday.
Monday, November 28th. For a variety of accounting issues that must be discussed and finished. We can table this issue until November 8th or until November 28th. We can get other legal opinions and make sure that the process that we are going down is 100% legal, although we have been given actually two opinions that this is legal, and that understanding that and just looking at this document of the agenda of things that need to pass, if we do not pass some of these things, for example, not having liability insurance for the township, not having health insurance for the employees, we're getting into murky territory if we are getting to a number of 4.
But we are a quorum, are we not?
Yeah.
We're a
We-
quorum.
So we are.
Aren't you busy?
we can
I'm
pass
simply
all these
saying
things
that
tonight and be
we
effective.
can, I'm
But I
simply
think
saying that. we
tabling
need
this
to-
might be the most
So
effective
here's
thing
my
to
question.
do.
In those cases, was it this
So I'm
quick
off,
of a
I'm
process?
saying
I'm
that,
asking.
does anybody want to make a motion to table this question until November 28th?
Is that satisfied? Is that okay with you guys? I would go along with that to table this and
I'll make a motion to table the acceptance of our new trustee into the board until November 28th. I
Does that
am
include
looking
accepting
for,
more applications?
I think documentation, like further documentation other than emails to, I don't know if it goes to my trustee account. I don't know. I think better documentation of the resignation is probably necessary too. That worries me.
Which part worries you? about
What
the
part
application?
worries you? She's
Because
given,
she has to, I believe she has to have it in the minutes. It has to be acknowledged.
so we're talking about this. This is going to be in the minutes from today with this discussion of her resignation.
Okay.
Is that not
Sure.
documentation enough for you?
Okay,
I don't think that's a full.
well,
I
it's
don't
not,
either, but
I want to
So-
do it the right way.
So
you
do
know,
I,
going forward,
totally.
But this is not the
Totally,
right way.
This
But
is
yes,
why I
this
asked the
is-
attorney the
This is
process.
a
before.
roundabout way of accepting the resignation.
But in the motion of moving to the 28th, are we allowing more time for the community to respond to the vacancy? I'm just asking the question. You, that's what you're proposing.
I'm proposing to table the decision.
Which
Are we
dis-
allowing more applicants to apply? I think there might be legalities in that too, if you don't.
So missing our attorney who is having technological problems.
He needs to come into these meetings, because this is, every month he has a problem, we need him present.
And after he has told us that the letter of the law, and after we've read several times over inspirational readings from the township officials of Illinois handbook. and
But what
Attorney
he's-
Mullen is now on board, is
What
coming
he
back.
is saying is not the same as what she's reading, and that's why she just wants to be careful.
So
I can see both sides, so that's why I'm just saying. I think we should make sure we are doing everything correctly. Just because he hasn't done that in the past, doesn't mean he was doing it correctly in the past. If he
So
wasn't
Attorney
following-
Mullen, we're going down this path of making sure that we're doing this properly, as we always try to make, we always make sure that we're doing
Yeah, and then
properly.
we learn from it, so that if it comes up again, we already know exactly what to do.
So, making sure that we're doing this properly, is it, valid that after discussing, Lisa Rose, former trustee Lisa Rose resignation on October 20th or 21st, that has been accepted into the minutes? Does that count as accepting her resignation?
What do you mean it was accepted in the minutes?
We're still discussing whether Lisa Rose has properly resigned.
Okay,
So do you believe that this discussion means, after we've all acknowledged that we've gotten her email last month that she has resigned, does this mean that she has furthered every document that she needs to do to resign from being a trustee?
the trustee does not have to do anything additional to resign, no.
So the people in the audience or the board members that are thinking that she has not properly resigned, are they not correct?
So the question isn't whether she has properly resigned, as I understand it. She has properly resigned. The question is whether or not the board has accepted the resignation, okay? There is no process in the code for how the board accepts the reservation. So I have looked at the case law on what acceptance means, and acceptance does not have to be explicit. It can be implicit. And one of the things that the cases specifically say is if you vote to replace the trustee, that is acceptance of the resignation. That doesn't mean other things aren't. But what I'm saying to you is, if you vote tonight to appoint a new trustee, under Illinois law, that is the equivalent of accepting the resignation. There are
Okay.
other ways to do it, but that is one way to do it.
But if we haven't accepted the resignation, then technically she's
I'm
still.
not saying you haven't accepted the resignation. I'm saying that
Attorney Mullen, I'm still speaking. I didn't complete my question. If we haven't accepted the resignation. Okay, if we haven't accepted the resignation, how can someone be a trustee and be an employee?
I don't understand the question.
So did Lisa Rose resign on October 21st when she sent the letter?
She did everything that she is required to do to resign, yes.
Employee, Attorney Mullen, what date did she
Did
become an
she
employee?
have the right to be hired is what you, I think you're asking.
Well, if we didn't accept the resignation, she's technically still a trustee and she's a township employee at the same time.
She's not drawing funds as a township trustee.
Well, but that presupposes that we haven't accepted. What I'm saying to you is that there are multiple ways by which you can accept the resignation, and it does not need to be explicit. The court has said that it can be implied, and that can be implied by all types of different actions.
We all
One of
understand
the
that it can be-
actions that absolutely will mean that you accept the resignation is that if you vote to appoint the new trustee. So there is no question that if you do that, you're accepting the resignation. But that doesn't mean that's the only way that you accept the resignation, and it doesn't mean that the conduct that you've engaged in thus far has not been acceptance of the resignation.
Okay, but the question remains, if she has not been, if we have not accepted the resignation of a trustee and they are now a township employee, is there a conflict there? We need to know so that we can we have to address it.
Well,
And the cases you're referencing, those people resigned, but they didn't become then an employee, correct?
I don't know what they did when they resigned. They resigned, and that's the question. So, I mean, you're moving on. I mean, every time I answer a question, you're changing the question.
Because you gave
So,
a couple of- I'm pretty articulate and well-versed woman, so I don't appreciate that. What I'm asking you is, if she is still technically a trustee, can she also be an employee?
And I said I don't know the answer to that question.
Who would know the answer to that question?
I will find out the answer to that question, but I have never been asked that question before.
Does anybody want to table this to October 20, or sorry, November
Yes,
28th?
let's make a motion to table it to October 28th.
I think Trustee
Trustee McGovern.
I would
Finish
for
the
a
motion.
second.
What is the
Would like to
motion?
make a motion to table the acceptance of the new trustee onto our township board, onto our special meeting scheduled for November 28th.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, trustee Page. Is there any more discussion?
Well, we really don't have a meeting on the 28th yet.
Not yet,
Okay.
but we're about to get there. So do we want to take a roll call, Clerk Polowitz?
Sure. Trustee Page,
Yes.
trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Geis.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Heather, and we'll be talking, I'm sure. Okay, then we'll go to the approval of the annual financial report. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve this? This is the report that we've viewed for the last 3 meetings.
This is the one that it needed a correction, correct?
Can you point out that correction on the document?
So this is the one where there was some discussion. This is the exact one from last month. They can't change the numbers. The numbers are what they are. We've had a chance to both talk to Scott several times. The numbers are what they are. There's some, and we took out some wording on page 10 at the bottom that had been residual. So that it changed to this. But I spoke with Scott and we can't change. There wasn't any other wording that we came to the table with. There's not any numbers difference. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve this audit for March, from the fiscal year reporting ending March 31st, 2022?
I'll make a motion to approve the budget. I'm sorry, to approve the audit.
Thank you, trustee Page. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, trustee McGovern. Any discussion? In a roll call, right?
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Geis. Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Okay, and next we have the approval of the October 12th minute meetings.
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes from October 12th. Second.
Thank you, trustee McGovern, and thank you, trustee Geist. Any discussion? And a roll call vote.
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Geis.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Okay, we have next an insurance proposal prepared by Connor and Gallagher. They're the same company that we've had for a number of years.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Connor and Gallagher for general liability insurance.
I'll second.
Oh, who's the second?
Trustee Geis got there first.
Okay.
Any discussion?
I mentioned it before, so I don't know if it'll fit in here, but the liability insurance, how does, I mentioned the, like, the equivalent to director's insurance. for our individual, like every board I'm on, there's director's insurance. So God forbid we do something wrong, we're indemnified.
Yes,
So, is that in here with this liability insurance, or is there a separate policy?
I don't believe that it's a part of this particular insurance. We have, actually, I think that let me rewind that. I'm pretty sure it is because of, what it was.
Oh, right there.
And we asked before who was insured.
Well, there it is. Who is
board
insured?
member.
An individual while appointed as a director or executive officer. That sounds like us, right?
Yes. So.
Just, yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any motions to approve this? This was trustee Page and a second by
It was trustee McGovern.
Yeah,
and
I
trustee
raised
Guys.
the motion and yeah.
And then any more discussion? And
I'm
then-
sorry, who was the first?
Trustee McGovern.
Okay, that's what I had and I just scratched that. I apologize. Do you want a roll call?
Please.
Okay, trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Guys? Yes. Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, Esther Hayes, who insures us, gave us a quote from United Insurance, which was up 13.9%, which is not what the employees prefer insurance wise. And Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is again the same company that we've been using for a very long time. They had an 8.9% increase in their rate, which is pretty good. And they're a insurance broker. They shopped around for us and made sure that we were getting good rates and prices for everything. Does anybody have any questions?
Are we choosing between these two, or one plan is for one branch or one section of the township, and the one is Blue Cross Blue Shield, the other one is
So we're
United?
choosing for the township is the supervisor's office is
Okay.
what we choose for.
Okay.
And we're Blue
Gotcha.
Cross Blue Shield. That's been what we've done.
Okay,
And it is the best financial option for us this time around as well. So does anybody want to make a motion to accept?
I'll make
the
a motion to
Blue-
accept.
Thank you, trustee Page.
I'll second.
Thank you, trustee McGovern. Any more discussion? And a roll call vote?
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Guys?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, we interviewed a variety of different cleaning services. Our cleaning service, Gianna King, had not been cleaned the way that we needed cleaned. We had asked them for better service and that didn't happen. So we went and got a variety of different quotes from a variety of different companies locally. We had MH1, All Pro, a food pantry, volunteer, building stars, cleaner living. And when we're looking through the different quotes, we can see what basically there's a variety of services that we were missing on a regular basis. And it appears that the best one would be this one. From a weekly perspective, Building Stars came out and gave us a really good quote with information as to what this actually includes. And we would have this many people. It has a frequency of how often things are being done, monthly, per visit, quarterly. These are the things that we need done. And so for once a week, having this done for, it would be a $4.99 a month charge of having our offices cleaned and whatnot.
Is that just for this complex?
Building, yes.
Okay, what is our current Janet King?
700 and
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll
Yeah,
take a
savings,
motion to
yeah,
approve
yeah.
Building Stars becoming.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Thank you, trustee Geist, and thank you, trustee Page. Any more discussion? And a roll call vote?
Trustee Page,
Yes.
trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Guys.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Due to a accounting issue that Linda had alluded to, we are tabling the public review of our proposed budget and tabling the adoption of tentative amended budget until the November 28th. And so to clarify this, can we meet in November 28th? Are you all available
Yes.
at 7:30, November
Yes.
28th? So that it would be open to the public, but we need to have some reconciliations.
So is this is just a 2-day notice meeting? This is budget. Does this need to be a
This is not,
30-day?
this is not budget. This is actually, it's a special meeting. So it's not a, it's not one where we're talking about, this is the start to that budget discussion. And there's a few other things that we need to do at that special meeting. Attorney Mullen, is that we're giving
You need to start
more than
the
2
other
days for a special meeting. Attorney Mullen,
Serious.
Attorney Mullen.
Sorry,
So we're talking about the special meeting that we're trying to schedule. Is November, and what the special meeting is about is a variety of accounting issues. We are not scheduling a budgeting meeting. We're talking about the proposed, we're scheduling item 14 and item 15 on the current agenda, along with a few other pieces from the accountant that we have yet to understand.
You need to start the levy process. It has to be done by the end of December.
Yes, sir.
It's out of time.
Yes, sir.
I
We
guess
are.
my question with this is, what exactly are we doing? Is this where you're moving money to the other funds?
No, we are not. So like I just said, Attorney Mullen, moving agenda item 14 and agenda item 15 to a special meeting on November 28th is that we're giving more than 2 days notice.
right, so I mean, you just, in the notice of the special meeting, you would just include those on the agenda.
Got it. My question is interpretation of what this is, because there was nothing in the packet. So I don't know what this is.
So we, again, are
Please don't
tabling.
talk to me that way. I know you're tabling it. I just don't understand which the proposed budget that's for this year. And it's a public review of the proposed budget. If you could just kind of explain that to me, I think.
So to amend our budget, we have to do a month-long program of amending the budget. So we spoke about this when we passed the budget, that we knew that there was one piece in particular, the general assistance, that needed to be amended. So in order to amend our current 2023 fiscal year budget, we have to start a 1-month process of doing that. That would be the start of that process. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I appreciate that. You have nothing in the packet, so this didn't make any sense to me. So thank you for explaining that. And then, so the other one is the adoption of the tentative amended budget. So you're talking about the budget that right before that, or you're talking about something different?
No, it's the same budget.
That's how it reads.
that
I'm
it-
just checking.
That it is, one is the a public notice of it. The second is the adoption of it,
Okay, so then
of
my,
the notice of the tentative budget.
okay. So that, my question is all predicated on, when you look at all the financials right now, when you look at capital improvement, 2 months ago, or a little bit more, you saw the budget online as 500,000. Now you look at it and it's 2.1 million. There's been a change on the budget that we didn't, no one approved and the public doesn't know about. So that's why I was asking, because I know that shouldn't be done before the public sees it. Is that coming into play here, or is this just general assistance?
So for the last 3 months, we've been discussing how we would amend the budget, and we've gone through this several times of having, trying to get to the amended budget point. This evening, I thought that we could have done that, but our accountant has told us that we cannot. And so in order to make sure that we are, again, being 100% transparent in everything, we need to not do this right now like we've been talking about for 3 full months. And we need to do this at a time when our accountant can help us make sure that we have the numbers that we need.
Will we also be addressing the parts of the budget that have been changed without a vote?
That hasn't been changed, frankly, that there was a proposed budget amendment that had been on the internet as a proposed change, but we haven't changed it. We haven't, again, this has been tabled twice.
But it's
At this
changed
point,
in
it's-
the
yeah.
financial records.
Yeah.
of the township.
It
No,
is.
it hasn't. It has not, we haven't adopted it. There's not been any
You go to
adopted.
QuickBooks and look up the budget, it's been changed.
And it's
Okay.
all over the website.
Again, we have an accountant that is helping to work on our QuickBooks situation that was not properly worked, that was not properly fixed. And that's why we're again tabling this.
No, the budget has been changed for months. It's
Yeah.
not because of that.
It hasn't been, it literally, we haven't gone
It's
through,
been QuickBooks, and it's been changed on QuickBooks for months.
okay, QuickBooks is not adopting it in here. And if somebody that changed it in
Have you not
QuickBooks,
told Bill Green to change the budget numbers in QuickBooks?
that should not have been done,
It should have
apparently.
been done. Okay, I just asked.
I'm saying that it was never agreed to and proposed in this at any time to our agenda. here.
Correct. It
So
has not been agreed.
I agree,
But it's
and it
on the
has not,
website,
okay, we'll make sure that it's not on the
and it's in
website.
QuickBooks.
Okay, and again, in QuickBooks, we have an accountant that is here fixing a whole lot of problems that are in QuickBooks that we're talking about and you're super aware of. If you'd like, let me make sure, like, I can see if she's in the other room, if you'd like to discuss the quick,
I'm curious of why we can't, why you couldn't go forward with the budget.
because there were some accounting discrepancies that need to be fixed. And in order to fix them, we need to have the time to do that. So I'm tabling this because I don't have the numbers that I need to have. So
Diane, where is Attorney Mullen at on the line item? I was just curious, because I don't know if I've ever seen, even when I've done the audits. Where is he at in the line item?
right now, we're not yet there of approving anything line item wise. We're just still on tabling or on tabling item number 15. So
Okay.
if
so
we
you need to
can-
make a motion?
if we can make it, there's no motion needed, frankly. What we were discussing was the figuring out the time and the date for the November 28th, 7:30 meeting to
And are we good on
discuss.
that? Did everyone agree?
So we can do that.
Do we
Okay,
need
and
to vote
Attorney
on
Mullen,
having
that is
meeting?
good, correct?
We don't need to vote on that, right? We all agree.
No,
to
we
go.
don't need to vote on that.
Will
Did you
Attorney
have a
Mullen be able to attend that meeting?
Attorney Mullen,
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Okay, I need, here's what.
You said you were talking about setting the date and time for the special meeting. I heard that, and then I didn't hear the next comment.
Well, it's hard to hear. So, Autumn, was there a question that you had?
I actually do have a question. I feel like we're having a lot of challenges with the Zoom connection with our attorney, and maybe he would consider being present.
So, Attorney Mullen, is that anything that we can consider, or?
No, I've offered to do that. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Okay, moving on to item number 16, discussion of the community survey question.
Set a date?
November 28th at 7:30. Is that, we've agreed to that, and we're moving on to the item number 16. Okay, discussion on the community survey questions, and we're at the start of making sure that we get these. And get some community input. So we have a few weeks to get this right. Anybody that has any input on what we're asking the community, please feel free to give us the input to make sure that we're getting the responses of the need that we need.
Is this in the packet? Because I
Yes.
didn't see it.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I do have a question though from it, because we did everyone talk to them already?
I don't think it was a packet. I think it was a separate email.
I didn't get it.
No.
So it's in the packet, but with,
Today?
yes. So
Okay,
yes, and so the discussion of what this is again, each of the different board members has in the past month had a time in a Zoom with the Northern Illinois University Governmental Expansion Studies Group. And they're working to figure out what each of the different board members has input wise. This is the part where we're asking the community their input in figuring out what the community's needs are from your responses. We're also doing a questionnaire on the people that use our services. So the people that are coming in for the food pantry or for a variety of different services, we're wanting to make sure that we're meeting their needs and getting better at what we do. So,
okay, good. And I had my chance to chat with them, and they were lovely girls as well. And they asked a lot of questions. And then I asked them, because we had spoken, or it's in the minutes, last month, I had asked specifically about the new building, that will there be a question, a specific question to people asked, are they in favor of building a new building? And you said yes, that they would absolutely, or you didn't use the word absolutely. You said yes, that is a question that the NIU survey will ask, because I felt that it needed to be a specific question, not so I asked them if they were going to ask them, and they said no, they would never ask a question like that, because they do not ask yes or no questions. They would not bring it up. They would just, if someone else brought it up, then they would discuss it, and ask questions around it. But, at that point, last month, we had said that, or you had said that the only way for the public to communicate about a new building being built was through the NIU survey. So I want to make sure that everyone's on the same page, that people do have the opportunity to answer the question specifically.
so the Northern Illinois University program, we haven't approved the questions, and we're at the start of figuring out the questions. And I would love a question like that. That's why I said the response that said it would be a really great question for, I think, that for us to understand. Now, I'm not a scientist with a PhD in this topic. They are. And so if they're telling us that a yes, no question is not a question that we can answer, then I'm going to listen to the scientist on this topic. But we're not even to accepting or getting to a point where we have the questionnaire.
So we're not going to ask them then, right?
what we're gonna do is we're going to talk about the questionnaire with each other, with the community. And talk to the scientists, the data scientists that know more than I do, or. They have a PhD in this topic. They help develop other townships. Actually, the county used them. To help make sure that they were developing, as well as the Lisle Fire District. So they're very good at what they do. Hanover Township uses them, a variety of other townships use them to make sure that they're developing. And so what we're going to do in this next month is we're asking for community input. And you have their contact information too. So we're going to figure out what we can and can't ask to get the information that we need. So if a yes, no question is not possible, then we will figure out a variety of other questions to figure out the information. That
regarding if people are in favor of building a building.
Yes,
Because there's no, I mean, we're not having a referendum, we're not having any community meetings, we're not telling anybody about this. So this, you said, was our opportunity that we'd at least be speaking to our stakeholders, which is probably a kind of a skewed group, but at least we have them. So if we're not asking a yes or no question, does that mean if they never bring up a building, we won't build a building? Do you know what I mean? Like, if
yeah,
we're not asking about
here's the thing is that we're going through this every month, where we have an architect here that explains what we're doing. We're going through our finances quite explicitly every single month. We're having a study, figure out what the needs of the community are. And so for a variety of different ways, we are offering public comment to anyone that wants to come in. We've been talking about the potential for a building. If you've been watching our videos for over a year now.
You have. There
The
hasn't been.
board has, frankly, this has been brought up in the board's meetings for over a year. So if you're watching any meetings, that this has been a topic of constant discussion. So there's a variety of things that we're doing, and especially
Are we
the
putting
primary
it in the
most thing. What was it?
Putting it in the newsletter?
It's a good question. I was gonna
Because-
say.
Because here's the thing, most people don't watch our meetings. I mean, let's be honest. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm not, they just don't, right? So would that be an opportunity?
It would be great and a great
Yeah.
opportunity. So we just published our first newsletter about a month ago. And so month and a half ago. It's been a long 2 months then. And so any which way, that's the first one in years. And so we're catching up with making sure that is
But that would be a
And
tool for the
ongoing.
communication, which is the question.
without a
Right,
doubt.
perfect.
There's a
Absolutely.
whole lot of tools.
To put
that
a
we're-
heads up in there, like citizens be on the lookout for this
Yeah.
survey, it's coming, we want to know how you feel.
Right.
I know I mean
Decision.
specific, or I don't mean you brought it up.
That we're in discussions, we're in the exploratory process of the feasibility of building. I think it's okay to, I think it's not okay. I think it's, one of the things that we ran on was being transparent. And one of the things that was important to me was that we had a communication tool that we put out into the community, because not everybody's going to come into a meeting. Not everyone's going to think to go to a website. And we're doing that. We're doing those things. So we just want to make sure we're putting all that good information in the newsletter. So both pieces, the piece of what are the needs that this questionnaire is coming out, but also asking the question, you know, that there's this exploratory process going on for this potential new building. What is your interest? What would you like to see in the building?
So we're a little bit ahead of getting to the next newsletter, but we will definitely give you all a draft of the newsletter before it comes out. We're trying to go to a email newsletter version.
Yeah.
So not just a printed version. So that is coming. There's a whole lot of options that we've been looking
Well,
to
there's no
explore.
question that the newsletter is coming. The question was, can we put that information in the newsletter? And that's just a yes or no. Yes or no, will that information be in the newsletter?
Right now, I'm not drafting that newsletter, but I think that's a really great option. And we're going to all see that newsletter before it comes out,
Okay.
so that we
Perfect.
can, approve it, and we can, remind ourselves of the things that we would like to see.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. Any other questions about the survey or about Northern Illinois? Okay, We have an update on Lakeshore Recycling. A really wonderful thing has happened that we're gonna very much advertise to everyone that we can. There's two things that have happened. One, there's a senior discount that we are applying to senior citizens, or that is being applied to senior citizens, and that's again for the unincorporated areas. Like the Meadows or Century Hills, or the unincorporated neighborhoods. And in order to access this discount, the resident needs to provide info from their driver's license or state ID and say they are a Lisle Township senior looking to apply for the discount. Their phone number is 844-633-3577. And so we're looking to make sure that the seniors of Lisle hear more about this. It's we didn't realize, apparently we're making sure that this is a part of the contract that is being implemented.
How much of a discount and how old do you have to be?
10%, and they determine what a senior citizen is. And so that's always obviously changeable for a variety of different reasons. People sometimes use 63 or 65 or whatever age, but they haven't told us the age that they believe as a senior. I will get that question answered. Then there is a possible suspension of services for unpaid balances. So I think per our account representative, like Lakeshore will be mailing out a letter to collect on past due balances that have been outstanding for a while. The letter asked that residences call Lakeshore to make payment arrangements or make a full payment to clear the balance. If this is not done, there will be a suspension of services for that address. The township should be prepared to receive calls from residents that may call about a missed collection. And that's what it's about. Apparently there was, when we switched waste haulers years ago, there were some people that hadn't fully paid for things. And so this is why this has happened. We switched in 2020.
Well, if you were on auto payment and just didn't switch it over, that could have been a problem too.
That was a problem, actually.
It's happened to me.
So any questions about this? With Lakeshore? Okay. Monthly update on the food pantry. We're now at 3,109 people being served a month, with 891 under the age of 18. That's a significant increase from the last month, let alone a year ago. So we definitely can use all the help that we can get with donations to the food pantry, and we take donations Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4.
Is there anything in specific that they're in need of? Does Charlie dry goods, cereals, I mean, grains, basically anything?
That,
Okay.
I mean, it's things that you don't need to cook with are often in, that you don't need to have a stove to cook with, for the home insecure, or things that are relatively simple to prepare with high organic nutritional content is extremely helpful. Any questions on the food pantry? Okay, and then from the general assistance perspective, we had 19 cases. That was a bit of there was a little drop off from last month. 16,192.28 in total assistance granted, with the majority of it, of course, being to rental assistance. And then gasoline was at 1,230. There were 15 emergency assistance cases with 5 general assistance cases. Passports is something that our employees are learning a lot about and getting trained to do more of. And so that's, I think, a growth area that we're going to see more happen in the township.
Is there a specific time frame for that? I was next.
Um,
I need to get some more.
So I would expect that in the next month, then people will be a lot more comfortable doing it. And the amount of our employees will have gone up by 5 times of people that can do it within the next month.
I mean, like,
Certain
is
days
it
of the
Monday, Wednesday?
Right now, you need an appointment, so make an appointment and we can, please call and we can generally get you in and out within less than a half an hour, I'd say. It's a really quick thing that more and more of our employees are learning.
Thank you.
Okay, then we have an update on transportation, which Harold gave. Now he just started, so we'll have more of a, just like the other monthly reports, we'll have a monthly report from that. When it comes to November's
Can
calendar,
we go back to the transportation? I thought we were gonna talk about the, what you sent as far as the estimated cost being 86,000 for the transportation for the van.
so we're not spending any money on any of this right now. We're not changing our budget right now. So if we want to go into a hypothetical of things that we're not doing right now, that's right now what we need to do is understand where we're at with certain of the programs that we currently have with PACE and with Ride DuPage, and we're making sure that processes that and procedures are defined and clarified, that our current riders are being taken care of. So that's what we're doing currently and that's what Gerald is focused on currently, is on our what we have. And step one was making sure that we understood what we currently have and who we currently are helping, and making sure that those processes are defined.
Great, because earlier today it sounded like we were rolling right into it. So I'm super happy that you're defining who we're helping and when. That's so perfect.
So then we're doing is there any other questions about transportation? Gerald is the person that is helping us very much on this topic. Okay, then a change in November's schedule. The employees asked that we change the supervisor's office schedule for November. Everyone felt that they had enough time to vote because it was 41 days and you could go at later times and on the weekends. So they asked for the day after Thanksgiving instead. So this month, Veterans Day on November 11th and November 24th and 25th, the supervisor's office will be closed. Because again, that's what it was always done in the past, and frankly, everybody had time to vote. It was a state holiday, which is why it was also even in the mix. For office space, so where we're at is that we're looking to continue to hire the positions that we have currently, or that we've been providing as information as input. We have a very small footprint right now, space-wise. I'm going to be the executive assistant that we're hiring.
I just want to mute their phone. Thank you.
The office space that we currently have is, we thought about trying to add a curtain in here or a temporary wall of some sorts to give more office space. We can't do that and have actual sound deadening. And it can't be temporary. So that was one of the options that we played with. The executive assistant that we're looking to hire will go into my office. So I won't any longer be having an office to myself anymore. When we're looking through the different floor plan, anybody that's doing a counseling role or roles one-on-one with township residents that need privacy, they need privacy, whether there's HIPAA requirements, there's a variety of other confidentiality requirements that we need to have in order to do that work, whether it's lending, if it's any general assistance, LIHEAP, any of those programs, there's a lot of documents that are required and people need privacy for such. And so when we go around the footprint in the office currently, I will be having somebody else in my office. If we're going from left around in a circle, the counselor, the person that's going to be the director of youth and family services, the counselor, she's very, or that person will need private space for counseling. The operations manager has often people in for a variety of different reasons. And so they often have to have private space as well. The general assistance, director of general assistance, if we're continuing to go around, the current one will have, is retiring on December 1st, Laura. And so the new director is going to share with her until she retires. So that office is going to be taken there. So if we're continuing down, we're now at the next office space. And we're hiring and we're making an offer to somebody else with a general assistance. And that person then is going to need a place to do those LIHEAP and those general assistance interviews. They're a full-time position. Keep going, and then we have Gerald Wolf's office. And
Wait, 1
he's,
second, hold on. If someone has to do it, so you just skip Debbie Polowitz, the clerk's office.
so here's the issue, is that we're running out of space. And so in the past, we had, the clerk, Claren, was sharing the space with the director of the food pantry.
Not true, but keep going. If he did, it was extremely temporary. Do you guys ever remember? These guys have been around before Bob Claren.
So I can
Well,
get you
question
more
is, if they're
information
going to have
about this.
We've never had two general assistance persons, correct?
No, so
So that's, we're squeezing because we're having another office. I'm just gonna throw this out there. This is a great conference room that probably isn't used throughout the day. Couldn't this be a space to conduct interviews?
So actually, this is used almost continuously throughout the day.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It is. And so there's whether it's for LIHEAP issues or for people that are the employees having basically, among other things, it is virtually continuously used.
For what, well, I would like, is what you just said, the general assistance staff would be handling, so wouldn't that, they would be in here then?
So how it's traditionally done right now is that a lot of times, well, especially after the pandemic hit, then we basically did more of the public interactions in here as opposed to bringing them into the offices in the back. Now we don't have space anymore. If we keep doing that, we're running out of space.
I know, but the clerk has access to sensitive data too, and that should be a private space as well.
Totally agree. In the, again, we're talking about this as to what has been done in the past. I was told that for many years, the clerk's position, the clerk's office space was with the director of the food pantry. So again, as I wasn't here
Those
at the
positions
time.
are so polar, like they're just so different. I'm just curious as to why that makes good business sense from a
Here's-
space perspective.
Here's what we were thinking is that there's more than enough space in there to fit. And then when you're also looking at the amount of time that we're all spending at this facility, there's more ability to be flexible with, for example, Charlie is not in his office space for a good percentage of the time because he's often making deliveries in the food pantry. So his office space is one of the least utilized office spaces for, as opposed to the rest of the full-time employees.
So full-time or part-time, there's still access to data, FOIA's, information that should not be open to the public.
So
Listen,
his
you're
office
the
is,
supervisor, but what I'm gonna say is, I don't see why you couldn't put the two general assistant people in the same office and they can conduct their individual interviews here and schedule time, just cut. I mean, why that, they're serving the same role. Why would they get two separate offices? We've never had a second general assistant person, so now they're gonna get a whole office because we're adding a general assistant staff member.
So when we look at what's going to be needed when that person has their, for example, if we had two general assistant staff members in the same office that were needing to conduct meetings at the same time,
No, then you stagger it. Are you here at 11? I'm in here at 11:30.
they
It's called
literally,
scheduling.
here's the thing, is that right now the need is rather high. Laura is the highest called person in the office by a margin of 3 to 4 to 1. And we are, for example, part of the thing to note is that we've been historically 3 to 4 months behind on LIHEAP applications
That's good to know.
because we don't have the staff that can do that.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to staff.
We will,
You said
but
that
we
you-
have to have the space to do so.
But you just said that you conduct, this space is used continuously. Your verbiage was, this space is used continuously throughout the day. And that was one of the purposes it was used.
One of the purposes, yes. And so say then somebody has to do a passport, say then somebody has to do a variety of other services and essentially, I mean, question from the audience I might ask, but Ruby, do you think that this is often used space?
This space, Laura uses for general assistance, but she has an office for general.
She does, but again, and this is the thing that we've been discussing with the pandemic. Laura said that what she would prefer if she has to do everything in her office is have plastic.
Okay, I see what you're
pieces
saying. From a
added.
safety perspective, it doesn't make sense to have clients in the office. I get what I'm just gonna move this along. So my point is then the two general assistants people could do that in here because they're gonna conduct their meetings here where they have big open space for safety purposes.
So I'm saying that we are months behind on a variety of general assistance needs because we both don't have the space and the staffing yet to do them.
But you're gonna have the staff.
Right, exactly. But if we trying to put that person and constantly make sure that they would have to stagger the meetings when right now they would be scheduled continuously and we would not be.
All right, I don't wanna keep challenging you in this. Am I the only person who's asking this?
No,
I'm worried about files.
yeah,
Okay, Attorney Mullen,
It's protected.
Attorney Mullen, is
Traffic.
there anything legally
I
pertinent
mean-
that we should know about with regards to the space
It's
of
it's
the clerk's
the
office?
Data she has, it's a
Yeah.
breach, it's a potential
Security.
breach.
And so
There should
everything
be-
in our township is both secured and,
that's not true.
okay, so,
That's not true. And at this point, my door should be locked because people are walking in and out and even looking under my blotters and the desk blotter and everything like that. I should be having a lot more of the contracts and all the records already in my office, but they're not in there. The financials, I'm actually responsible for too. In the past, and I know Bill's talking on the phone, in the past, it's all in Bill's office. I'm able to go in there and ask him stuff like, has the bank statement been reconciled? And he would say yes and show it to me right there. And so everything was right there, everything's secured right in there. And I'm able to grab the stuff. If I'm going down here and or I'm sharing an office, that is not, if the records are tampered with in any way, I'm the official records. And plus, quite honestly, I need more records because I'm supposed to have every single contract that is signed, every single lease that's signed, the right of first refusal. I should be having that. It should be all in the one office. And quite honestly, so sharing it is not appropriate.
so Attorney Ed Mullen, legally, what is the requirements for office space for clerks? Is there any legal requirements for the reason why I'm saying this is because not in all townships is there even a building. And so
So where are the clerk's records held?
in people's houses.
Well, that's illegal.
I'm saying that we're not putting them in
Okay.
people's houses, but I'm saying that legally,
contract should be in a shared office space.
Okay, so it-
I hope that you can come up with a better solution than that.
I have to add, coming here when we were first at the dais, the mailboxes even, I was like, oh, we go in here for mail, and it just seemed weird to me because you don't want.
Traffic in that space.
By state statute,
thought we were
the
doing-
audit is
Yeah.
supposed to be done in the clerk's office as well. So, I
So
mean, there's a
what
lot of things
attorney-
that are state statutes.
Attorney Mullen, is there any state statute that applies to this that can help us guide us in these issues?
I don't think there's a state statute about office space. What I think we're just kind of using best practice as far as the integrity of data stored. So who are the people who work the most closely together during the day, would you say? What positions? Director of Operations and Director of Transportation? Maybe those two should share an office. They're not meeting with people one-on-one private, discussing personal financial matters.
Okay,
They're functional. They probably would work closely together.
they
Why
both
is that
have a
Carolina?
whole lot of material that I think would
But
be
she's got
extremely
sensitive data. Diane.
thoroughly agree. And this literally, we have security codes where only the people that have the security access are allowed to come into this building when we're closed.
I don't know, we just had a temp working here who had access to all of our social security information and now they're no longer here. With no background check or anything.
There
I'm
was a
very
background
uncomfortable with
check.
that.
There was a complete background
Is
check.
there a record of the background? check?
No, I have no record, and I should have those records.
Those
Be
are-
Careful with people's
And
information.
they should be
is all I'm
locked up.
saying.
Or so like when the mental health board, they turned in their signatures, you wouldn't even allow it to stay in my room. You're like, no, this needs to be secure. And you put it in your room and locked it up in a file cabinet in there.
Because her
That
office
should
is
have been
not
in
secure.
my office, and my office should be secure.
Right.
So, and I need to
You're-
spend more time.
You
I
do
guess-
have a variety of keys in your office to secure anything, or do you not?
Well, I should lock the door is what I should be locking.
So Attorney Mullen, is there?
I'm not gonna give you an answer off the top of my head. If you have a question, let me know and I'll get back to the answer at the special meeting in November. I think you're going into detail that's way beyond what the statute provides for, but I don't want to answer that off the top of my head.
Just look in not you, not you, Attorney Mullen. I just look in the statutes and who is, who are the laws for? There's statutes for the supervisor, there's statutes for the clerk, there's statutes for the assessor, there's statutes for the highway commissioner and the trustees. Not statutes for, and forgive me, for the new director of transportation or the title, there's no statutes for those. I think you really need to, you need to be cognizant of who the elected officials are and why there's statutes for them, because there's a reason that they're in the position. And I know you want to diminish this role. I know that, Diane, because even in the new building, you say that, but even in the new building of 8,000 square feet, I'm the only one that's still sharing an office. So, are you allowing me to protect our files and our contracts and everything else? Or are you hindering that? Or is this a retaliation at some point?
So actually, it's just purely logical about time spent in the building. And so
I
having
could
full-time
definitely spend more
people
time in the building.
in the building as opposed to people that are here for 3 or 4 hours a month have various needs.
But I think
And
that's
so
the
making sure that-
short-sightedness is to not look at how much time someone spends in the building, but what is the role that they're serving and the data that they are storing and that they are accountable for.
Totally agree. That's why we have new firewalls that were put within the last year to make sure that our server
That's for
maintenance.
technology, Diane. I used to work in
Exactly.
IT security for a global investment bank. I'm very intelligent when it comes to technology.
Thank you.
What I'm saying is there are files.
Yes.
That she would have access to, that anyone can have access to. That information should be secure and not just having other people having access to it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that you don't have a space issue. I'm not saying that we don't have a backlog of people who need help. I believe you on all those fronts. But it seems to me it makes more sense to put people who have combined roles in a room together and use this as a shared interview space and keep the integrity of the data. She is an elected person. She is compensated for her role as a clerk. So technically she's an employee as well. Taking that out of the equation, let's stick with the data, the information that she's storing. You have to keep that secure.
I
It should not
thoroughly
be-
agree.
That should not be a shared office.
And you have
Thoroughly
more
agree.
space when building the building.
And that's why
That's why
we're-
you're building a building. So once the building's built, there'll be more space for all of us.
there is that reality that we can figure out what we would like to do. And as architect Pat keeps telling us that he is, and he has been consistently changing the plans and coming closer to an end idea of how we can do this.
Diane, you're gonna ultimately do what you wanna do, because like you let us know, it's your decision to make. I tell you, I am firmly against the clerk sharing with the food. I'm just putting that out there for record. And if any data is compromised as a result of that, I'm putting it on the record that I said that that's a terrible idea. Now,
Okay.
what happens in the new building is totally, logistically, there should be better planning. It doesn't make sense to have that role shared. It doesn't matter how many hours you spend, it's the function that you serve. Was that Lisa?
Mhm.
That's right.
Lisa Rose is here?
She's
Yes,
been here.
Okay.
She spoke.
Okay, I thought she was on the camera. I didn't know.
She's in the back office.
Her office.
she's in Lisa Rose's office.
She's in Lisa- Okay, but she was
Okay.
in the building. Okay, I
So,
got it.
how we're doing this is we're extremely aware of the availability and security of all of the needs to make sure that we're making sure that everything is completely secure from a data perspective, from a documentation perspective. We have cameras. We have 10 cameras around around the perimeter of this building. And so that's another aspect of the security that is been enhanced as well. We very much care about the security and the maintenance of our documents. And we also need to realize that there's a space issue that has become more and more acute. And frankly, there was formerly a building across the street for some decades that
How many appointments are scheduled in here a day? 10, 20, 30, 50? 5, so 5 appointments a day. Even if there was 10, we can't figure out in an 8-hour period how to stagger people in this room.
So that's 5 currently with the staff that's
I said if there
primarily,
was 10, I figure out how to stagger people. in an
I'm
8-hour
saying that
period.
that's currently, and we right now are training quite a few staff to do more services. So I think that the service level is going to change by a magnitude rather soon.
They all have offices, so that's
And
perfect.
do we have a second person even hired?
No, we don't.
There's an
Why
operator.
are we talking on this?
We're talking on this because we're planning on this and because frankly, we're trying to make sure that the new people that are coming in don't have a place to go to do things, or even the people that are here frankly, for some time, that they have a place to take clients into, because right now, on a day-to-day basis, it is currently a problem of not having enough space and not being able to meet with clients privately. It is,
On the busiest day, there's 5. And so if we double our staff, there could be 10. Because I'm imagining they can't spend their whole day in interviews. They have to also talk to people on the phone and take intake calls too.
Some could be
And help
here,
with
some could be
referrals and
there.
things, right? So they can't be sitting in here all day doing interviews. From a logistics perspective, that would be impossible. They're not even, that means they're not addressing calls, email, working with the community. They're just sitting here doing interviews all day. I don't know. I think that you're making sense in that your capacity is going to continue to increase and that you're increasing your staff to accommodate it. But what's not making sense to me is why the general assistant staff could not share space. Why you would put your elected clerk in the same office with your food pantry.
and the reason why, I guess, is it will have to just show you what happens on a day-to-day basis, but basically, we're very busy. And it would be very hard for the community to deal with not having places to go for general assistance when there's a higher need than we've been meeting.
All right. This is a-
Well, we're telling you that we're all against this.
Well, no, we're not
Needs
all
to be
saying that.
Fort Knox.
Okay, we're not, that's what I
And
heard.
I'm saying that I don't think that I don't want the clerk data in a room that's a shared space with other traffic. I
Okay,
want that door locked at all times. I like Christie, I feel weird walking in there to get my mail. I really wish you could get the mail like maybe in the office here. That's okay. I don't feel like I should go in that. I feel creepy going in her office to get
Well,
mail.
it's not a creepy office.
I feel
That
intrusive.
brings up loud.
Yeah, that's not the word. Creepy is not
Yeah.
the word. Intrusive is
Yeah.
the
The
word.
thing is that we're out of space. We're out of space, right? And
But we're not out of space right yet.
no, but we're rapidly approaching, and there may be a few things that we could do here to alleviate that temporarily.
okay, so literally we've gone through the routes of figuring out, okay, how can we add a wall in the different
That's kind of,
offices?
is this conversation is going on, that's what I'm thinking, I'm wondering.
We can,
and just for-
add a small,
Well,
a
this
create
used
a
to be
closet.
2 offices, didn't it?
No,
This was always the boardroom?
no, if I would have to look at the plans,
This-
this
is what I do, like, I'm good at this, right? So I'm looking at the front office space, not the office, but Ruby, your space, and I love it, right? I love your window, but what about erecting like a temporary wall on a third of this? Then you have that whole space for a whole nother office, and then the front end of this room becomes reception for temporary. I don't know. It's just,
there's a lot
I'm
of
just
thought.
trying to be helpful.
I
that's
know,
all.
and I brought in,
Oh, I'm not. No, I'm not. I,
Is
like
that
they
a
said,
viable
no,
reason?
this space is used, right? No, I'm with you on that we should use every square inch of this building in
Totally
every
agree.
way that
And
we
do you
possibly
believe
can.
that the data and?
No, that should be
the
locked
clerk
up
should be in the
completely.
same room.
On
as the-
board.
Okay. I
On
just
board
wanted
with
to
that
make
being
sure I
locked
wasn't
up.
being because I don't want to be.
I was just
You have the
compromised,
tools in front
right?
of you. We
And-
get it, but sometimes because you're in so deep in it, maybe you are not able to step out and go, wait, is that the right function with the same room with the right function? That's all. Diane, it's not that complicated.
I thoroughly agree. And when I am thinking about this logically and with security as a top of mind, I think that we're having this discussion of a lack of space. And I think making sure that we keep discussing this lack of space is going to be extremely helpful to figure out how we can get the space that we need to meet the community's
So that's in
needs.
the future. So we know that that's the future goal, but we have to deal with the now. And the now is you have a space issue as you continue to hire people. So look at the functions that people serve. And if there's not a way to have office mates, like it's not that.
We've
like,
really
that
gone
makes
through
sense.
we've gone through those functions.
The general
And
assistants
we
should be
have
able to share an office.
And
then.
we have also gone through the ways of creating new offices by adding walls inside this building. And we can make a really small office that can be locked and that can be accessed. So if we want to go down that route, we've already gotten,
That sounded really unkind.
no, we just don't have a lot of space.
No, that sounded unkind to me.
I'm sorry,
I
but
think
we
that the
just,
proposal, we've all agreed that it makes sense. We have made the suggestion, to put functions together and use the space for meetings. It doesn't make sense to put her in the room with the food pantry. You're adding you're increasing the capacity with the general assistants, which is amazing. That's what we're here to do.
yes,
here to
we
serve the
are.
community,
And,
But they
and the-
don't need a private office to do it.
okay, so I think we are going to agree to disagree on that and move forward. And everybody is going to be kept aware of our options and can we, yes, make our locked room. If the clerk would like a locked room in this building, we can try to figure that out.
I think the
It should be my
semantics of
office. The file should be my office.
the semantics of a locked room, that means you could give her a closet with a lock.
Yeah,
Diane.
exactly. This is
It
not
doesn't
very
sound nice.
office space to
I
me.
know you don't mean it that way, but I'm just telling you, we'll give her a locked room. It doesn't sound nice.
Okay, so here's the thing, we're literally I'm sharing space.
Diane, you
But
said a
with someone-
locked room, so
And
I'm-
again, we're
Yeah.
trying to, she requires a locked room. That was one of the requirements. And so if this is where you had asked, so we're going through this.
I'm asking very kindly to leave me stay in my office. That's been the clerk's office for many years, that was intended to be the clerk's office. And then that I could keep all the files and get all the files that I'm supposed to have and get them in that room.
Okay,
And then
and
lock
my
the door.
main goal is to make sure that our general assistance needs are met and that.
Right, and my main goal is the
Of
files.
course, I thoroughly agree with you.
But Diane, you're gonna meet the general assistance needs because they're gonna have an office and you're gonna have this whole conference room to have the private meetings. And how does that not meet the need?
Because we don't have the ability to have enough conference space with this current space. I'm saying that after working here pretty continuously for the last year and a half, this
Okay,
isn't a
so in a
viable
year and a half,
option.
this has not been enough space.
Yes,
So 5 people have met in here a month and it's not enough space. A day and it's not enough space.
I'm saying that when we look and see how we are growing and we're developing, that the
Diane, short
employees,
answers.
the.
Is this, or is it not enough space for the general assistance role to meet in here throughout the day?
When,
How many people are in here a week?
okay, I don't believe it is because of the amount of need to have private meetings with, that we are currently training our staff to do. For example, with LIHEAP, the only person that was trained in the past to do LIHEAP was Laura.
Right,
In the
so we're
past-
cross-training, which is amazing, because that's something we learned was an awesome thing to do.
Yes,
That doesn't mean they can all do a live meeting at the same time. We
no,
don't need everybody. Someone may be out of the office, someone may be on vacation. That was the point of cross-training. The point of cross-training wasn't to maximize the use of every space. The point of cross-training was that there was no drop in services when someone was on vacation or ill or not present, which is the challenge we have now because we haven't had a social worker in, I don't know, 6-7 months. I mean, that should be our priority, not worrying about moving Debbie into the same office as the food pantry. You have a solution. You're hiring 2 general assistants, employees. You have this whole space. It doesn't make sense to start moving people out of their offices. It just doesn't make sense, especially a function. And to me, it's not about whether she gets an office because, it's about her function and the responsibility she has dutifully requires her to have a locked office, not a locked room, not a closet, a locked office.
thank you, trustee Geist.
You're welcome.
Okay, do we have any reports from an elected official? Is there anything that you have, Highway Commissioner Young?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Trustee Geist?
Just would like to know when you think we're gonna have did you get another update on the books? Yeah, if you're not, that's okay. I was just checking to see if we got the other books.
The printer hasn't gotten back to us.
Okay, thank you. I have no other report.
Trustee McGovern?
November 15th is Tuesday tutoring with the township at Lisle Park District, door 5 from 5 to 6 p.m. Please RSVP. There's a link on the website and indicate what subject matters tutoring needs might be. And we are one-to-one tutoring, and we have plenty of volunteer tutors that are highly qualified.
Yay.
Thank you, trustee McGovern. Trustee Page?
My only report is the closeout of the garden. My math is wrong, so they harvested almost a half a ton of produce going back to June. They closed out at the very end of October. I think the 29th was the last day. They covered everything up. They just a very successful year. And thank you to all volunteers and especially Chair Garcia. She was amazing. She does a very good job back there.
Thank you for all of your help with the garden. It's been an inspiration.
I haven't been there much this year. My injury kind of kept me out, but
still thank you for all the work
it's
you do.
really, and if anybody has time, like go back and look at that space. It really is amazing.
It is
back there.
amazing. Yeah.
It does so much for our community. Thank you. My report, I'm personally thrilled by Lisle Township's mandate for the creation of a 708 mental health board. Tomorrow, we will announce the process that will be concluded within 60 days from today. We will be welcoming applications and resumes to serve on the volunteer board for mental health services. We've been very busy training, working on the various onboarding issues and creating best practices in those transactions.
Diane, is that in writing anywhere that we can share?
Yes, it's in the packet.
Thank you.
Is there And there's going to be like I said, there's going to be an announcement tomorrow about the mental health boards. Because they were passed in 3 of the 4 townships in DuPage County that they were introduced by.
I do have something. I'm just going to ask again if we could please get the packet quite a bit earlier to post it. I know I sent you an email regarding it that I didn't know it was posted. I never saw it got done. I never got an email with the packet. And then I didn't even know that half of the stuff was put in the packet today. So it's hard to look at. I did get the agenda 6:30 on Monday night. So, or no, 5:30, I think it was on Monday night. But it's hard to really look through the packet without any of the backup in there. So that's, I mean, half the questions I had today wouldn't have even happened because I would have known what you were talking about on certain things on the agenda.
And I'm generally here, so you can always feel free to call me or talk to
I
me.
was here. And I emailed, and then nobody emailed me that it was posted. And that, that's beside the point. I'm just asking for us to please get the packet before the weekend, so we all have time. We would have seen the resume, we would have known everything, and we would have had time to be able to really have an intelligent meeting instead of all these questions, and it seems like we're fighting and we're not intending to fight. We just want to do things right.
Of course, and there's a whole lot of accounting issues that frankly we needed to make sure were on the agenda, that were understood. And so that frankly affected so much of this, and we appreciate your help and your time with this. Okay, does anyone want to make the audit of expenditures?
Well, we have a little bit of a glitch, so what are we gonna do about that?
That's not happening, so we're tabling that
Okay.
until the November 28th meeting.
So I didn't see so we can't see the audit of expenditures, right? Because it's.
No,
tabling?
because
Okay.
there were, again,
Okay, no problem.
some accounting issues that need to be, that's why we're having the November
In all the
28th.
months that in the last year and a half, and I've done the audits pretty frequently this year. I've never seen a line item for the law office of Attorney Mullen.
So I'm sure that Attorney Mullen, his accounting department will get back to us as soon as possible.
Well, no, is it under a different name? That's what it is.
I don't recall off the top of my head, but we can figure that out.
So we haven't billed yet for a year and a half, 18 months?
I don't know that that is the case. I think that there's a question of a few issues that we need to discuss. So I'm sure that that is forthcoming. Attorney Mullen, any discussion on that?
Hello?
Attorney Mullen?
My question is if we don't compensate him.
Sorry,
Maybe.
I don't have anything to add to that. What,
There will be a forthcoming, though, Bill, I'm sure upcoming, right?
yes.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
it's been
you.
a year and a half, Attorney Mullen, so we were just curious about that.
And are we legally protected and represented if there's no compensation? I don't know. I thought,
Yes, that's not an issue at all.
okay, we want to pay you what you're due. It's just concerning if we haven't paid you the whole time.
I did this because this. We'll have this conversation offline, but I'll send you a bill, but it won't, don't.
Yeah, not too much. We don't want it.
Well,
too
it would
much.
just be good to know
Thank
where
you,
we're at.
sir.
It would be good to know where you're at, sir. I mean, that's-
Thank you, sir. Okay, so does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make
Wait.
a motion.
We're not writing checks, we're not paying bills.
Right now, we need to make sure that our accounting issues.
Diane,
Yes,
I do have the check detail. It's all ready to go. The checks are ready to go. So I can bring that in. I just wasn't sure about interrupting the meeting.
okay. We're not doing this right now, so.
Okay.
That is not happening right now. So, again,
minute.
this is,
This is illegal.
No, wait.
no.
No, I'm sorry.
We have
Trustee McGovern and I could not
match.
match the online payments to anything. So that's everything else matched up. And when we did the check run before the meeting, everything matched up. We had maybe 4 or 5 bills to utilities, I think it was
Mm.
mostly, that were online payments that did not have checks attached.
Oh,
that
there were
we-
more than 4 or 5 online payments, I would say that.
No, more, right,
Yeah,
I
there's
had
about
2 or
20. You can't locate.
Right, again, because we're
But-
having,
But as far as the checks, the physical checks,
Right.
not the online payments, we
Right.
have rectified
Checks are
that
fine.
register.
The checks are fine. What trustee McGovern and I are not comfortable putting our names on something if we cannot match
Right. I understand.
everything to,
and that is why, again,
But
we
for
have
most of the
been,
checks, I have hundreds of thousands of dollars that the payments are due tomorrow. We're supposed to deny our vendors prompt payment?
we have an accounting issue that we must
The
solve.
trustees said they matched the checks
The physical
with the
checks, yes,
bills and they thought it was appropriate.
but not the online. Which was,
And the onlines are already paid, so.
well,
The money's already gone for the online.
yeah,
And now you're denying the vendors?
Those don't, yeah.
they don't have. And I did hear that there's checks that are leaked, so.
We
it's-
cannot right now, because of the accounting issue, do the audit of expenditures
What is
because
the accounting issue that prevents you from doing that?
Go to special meeting? Can we?
No, it's not on the agenda.
Okay.
the accounting issue, I need to frankly, it is. I don't know what I can and cannot say about this particularly because of a variety of different legal issues that we could be dealing with. So I'm not going to answer any further on this, but we have a major accounting problem that we are dealing with a CPA, making sure that that things that should have been done some time ago.
Did she suggest that you shouldn't process the
Yes.
checks today?
She said that we cannot give this audit of reports, that we could not do the approval of of changing the budget or the adoption. That's what our,
Or changing the budget? What's that got
the
to
three
do with the
things,
checks?
there's 3 things that the CPA said that we should not do. And that is why I said that we needed to table these special meeting on November 28th in order to get those things done.
That wasn't tabled. The audit wasn't tabled.
We are coming down to the,
Now, wait, can I finish? The accountant was here, and if you were gonna do that, if you weren't gonna pay the checks. The vendors who were owed hundreds of thousands of dollars. Don't you think you should have told it, so we question her why she said that? The trustees are happy with what they've done.
I can
perhaps-
call her
Got her
up.
on the phone.
she didn't answer, but upon recommendation from the accountant, the CPA, the president of her firm, who told me not to do this, I'm not going to do this. Because the professional accountant told me not to do.
You just share this with us. We don't get a chance.
I didn't know this
You
until,
knew it before, you said before, when she was in this room,
yes,
you knew it then,
yes,
and now you're gonna deny people hundreds of thousands of dollars.
because we
And we
cannot,
couldn't ask why?
because we cannot go forward when we have the problems that we have.
Can I ask this to be tabled to a special meeting till tomorrow?
2 days. You have to do 2 days.
No, you can. you can
Attorney
defer-
Mullen,
You can just not adjourn the meeting. I forget what that is.
I think you have to do 2 days notice. I
Yes.
think you have to give public 2 days. Well, ask attorney.
Yes.
Attorney Mullen, can we adjourn this meeting? I believe that,
Don't
A,
adjourn.
here's the thing, is that I don't know when Linda is going to be available again, and she needs to be here for us to convey this discussion. So if you would like to have Linda's contact information, you can have it. But I can't say that we're tabling this in for a time when I don't know when
Let's
she's
ask the
available.
attorney.
Well, why would we schedule a meeting that we don't know we can do?
Perhaps we can talk to the accountant and she, because I can't imagine anything that would delay the process of the legitimate business expenses.
Does that
Attorney
mean
Mullen, do you
township
have,
Business stops today?
I guess I'm trying to, so you,
Can we adjourn the meeting till tomorrow at 2 o'clock?
I have a job.
Oh, recess.
Yeah,
Recess.
not adjourned.
is it possible to recess the meeting till tomorrow at 4 or 5?
I don't know that that complies with the Open Meetings Act.
Yours recurring invoices? Like, are they recurring?
Well, anyway,
Because I
Okay,
think if it's
so,
recurring, you could pay them.
do you know or don't you?
no, I don't believe that we can,
I don't want to know. I'm asking the attorney. Can we or can't?
Attorney Mullen.
I don't believe you can hold the meeting over until tomorrow, without giving notice. Compliant with the OMA.
I can't adjourn to a time certain or defer to a time certain.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You're far away.
I can't defer to adjourn to a time certain. To recess until a time certain.
Right, but the public doesn't know what that time certain is. I mean, you could leave and take a break and come back. But I don't think you can put it over, you can just set another meeting for tomorrow without going through the notice.
But I don't think it's fair to our vendors to be penalized for some reasons that we have no idea. The trustees have looked at the bills. They've approved them bills. There's money in the budget. They seem to be legitimate payments.
I'm quite
So
sure
what do
they're
you suggest we
legitimate.
do, attorney?
So, and attorney or, and
I haven't spoken to the accountant, so I don't know what the issues are, and if she believes there are legal liabilities with doing that. You know, I think it would be a mistake to go against that,
Does this have anything to?
but
do
I
with-
also don't think you necessarily want to wait until November 28th to,
So what do you suggest we do, sir?
I suggest you schedule a special meeting at a time that you know she's available, that complies with the Open Meetings Act and gives the 48 hours notice to the public.
We give you two a chance because Supervisor Hewitt, I think, knows what the issue is. Just doesn't know what she could say legally or not. public, could you guys have a discussion about it?
It would definitely require an executive committee if I were able to say what I know.
Executive session.
And we don't have an executive session for this purpose on the agenda right now.
Well, if you know what the issue is. You think,
I'm sorry?
if you know what the issue is, will this issue in your mind affect current payments?
I don't know what the issue is. This is the first I'm hearing of it.
So it's a significant issue that's legal implications and she hasn't talked to the attorney about it?
I found out about it at 6:30 this evening. I was told by the accountant that this would be done by this meeting. And the accountant found more problems than she could solve by this meeting.
But she didn't tell you what they were. Well,
I
you didn't
can't
share them with the attorney.
Say
Can we
that,
just schedule a meeting for 2 days? I've got to get this paid.
so I need to have the accountant be there.
I-
And so we need to have a communication with the accountant to figure out when she can be there. So I will get back to everyone within 24 hours, likely 12, as soon as I get a hold of the accountant.
So, so
Can
we
we,
need 2 days' notice. Tomorrow's Thursday. That would mean I
Friday.
said tomorrow's Thursday, we would need 2 days' notice for a new meeting. So that means it's a Saturday meeting.
again, I think we need to figure out when she's available and we can go from there. So I think that if you give me 12 hours to get a hold of her and figure out when we can meet special, and get back to everyone. Is
I
that,
appreciate it. I didn't even come here about this, but there's some significant bills in there. and
I
Yeah.
we have- we have to pay for it to protect.
want to pay them. I would like
You
to.
make that, you know,
We had a hard time pronouncing how big the check was.
It's a lot of, and if you don't pay, then you don't make a reputation.
Right.
So that's,
Right.
It's understandable.
And when we left, it was, we had to start the meeting, and we're told it would be straightened out, but we didn't know that it would come to this at the very end either.
So she told me not to, and I have to follow what the accountant says. And I'll get back to everyone within 12 hours to figure out a day that in time that we can get together as soon as humanly possible.
because it should just be the audit, right? I mean, takes 5, you wouldn't even have to do it again, you've already done it. All you
Right.
got school-
Can be done on Zoom.
Right.
Yep.
You just adjourn the audit.
We, in my pile, there were 3 that I needed to match. And I don't know what you had
I
in
had
yours.
more,
That was,
yeah,
you know,
But those are the electronic things.
yes,
it was mostly, for public services.
but I.
And they match now, so they do match.
Is this,
Okay, so
we
she
can't
said-
take care of this right now?
No,
If the
unless
professional said no,
The-
I'm.
Yeah,
defer-
I have to
I said
defer
not
to
a-
Diane.
the accountant said no. She said not to do this. And when CPA that has 6 degrees after their name tells me not to do something on accounting, I have to listen to
I-
the
I-
accountant.
I tried calling her and she didn't respond.
I've-
I'm able to text her and say, hey, we've got a issue and we just would like to not have. to have anything to do. Because we can just solve it
Her
right now,
phone is
right?
not even ringing. That point. So at this point, does
Smart.
anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Well, wait, did we make a motion at the table?
No, we did not.
Okay, we need to make a motion to table the audit, correct?
We don't even,
Audit of expenditure.
no, actually. Attorney Mullen, do we have to make a motion to table the audit of expenditures, or do we have to?
You should, I mean, you should make a motion to table it.
I'll make a motion.
I mean, a motion to adjourn would supersede it, but it's better practice to do the motion to table first.
Attorney Mullen, could they approve the audit subject to release by the accountant?
Hmm?
Could they approve the bills subject to release by the accountant?
I don't. I don't think so. Then you're giving the accountant the right to make your final decision.
I don't, the trustees that performed their function, they did the audit. And there seems to be some extraneous material that the accountant knows about that nobody else does. And it could be simply just because the cash isn't in the bank account.
And we all have to sign, yes.
Oh. Yeah, we have to.
We can't do Zoom, so it will be a physical.
Yeah, I just think legally putting someone else in the position to make the final decision about whether these are paid is not correct. I think, you know, she should advise you on what to do and then you should vote.
Thank you, Attorney Mullen. Does anybody want to make a motion to table the audit?
We have a motion from trustee Page. We need a second.
We're tabling the audit of expenditures, right?
Yes.
So. I'll
We need a second.
Thank you, trustee Geist. Any more discussion? In a roll call vote?
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Geist. Supervisor Q.
Yes. Does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, trustee
second.
Page. Thank you, trustee McGovern. Discussion. We're adjourned.
Next time I bring you snacks.